This is Pollyanna, and this is a different type of video today. Trying different things on this channel. I primarily use this channel to just teach when I'm at home and my students are also at home. I use this channel to just post videos about my life and I tell stories. I share my life. But recently, I've been making different types of videos. I'm preparing a class that I'm teaching this week. Not this week, but after the holidays. It is an unfortunate truth that we have to acknowledge. People are glorifying criminals, and we need to talk about that. So I'm preparing this PowerPoint, and a lot of you, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that everyone has heard about Natalie Rupnow. Everyone has heard about that. But I don't think many people have heard about this girl. I'm going to call her Laidia Yasmin, but I know that her name is probably pronounced in a different way in Portuguese. This girl tried to kill people at her school. She was going to be a Brazilian school shooter. And I'm saying was going to be because the gun jammed after she shot the first person and she wasn't able to kill anyone. The boy was barely grazed by the bullet, and I think somebody knocked her to the ground until the police arrived and she was arrested. So nobody died. But listen to this. This happened just like perhaps a day after the Natalie Rupnow, Wisconsin shooting. So we need to talk about this. It is becoming trendy to become a killer. I mean, why? Out of all things to copy, people copy this. I don't get it. So I wrote a review about this whole situation and how the media is not covering this, the parallels between the two killers. So I wrote something. It's going to sound like I'm reading. I am reading off of something that I myself wrote. Let's talk about the news story that as of today, the 21st of December, 2024, no news outlet has picked up. Lydia Yasmin and Natalie Rupnow are two teenagers who live in different countries, come from distinct social classes, but whose journeys became similar through tragedy. Make no mistake about it, news outlets in Brazil have reported on a teenager who tried to kill her classmates and a teacher at a school where she was a senior, despite the advanced age. Lydia was 19 years old at the time of the attack. In Brazil, kids finish high school at 16 or 17 years of age. The fact that she was still in school reflects that she must have been held back at least a year or has failed the entrance exam for college or concluding exam for high school, which is normally taken at that age, 16. I think I was 16 when I took it. Following the school shooting in Wisconsin, perpetrated by Natalie Rupnow, I know I said it a little funny, perpetrated by Natalie Rupnow, Laidia decided to take her own life and take his classmates and a teacher with her. She must have watched the news coverage about Rupnow's actions and felt inspired. Listen to this. I have no proof whatsoever that this is what happened. This is just conjecture on my part. But come on, it happened just like a day after. So this was all over the news. And an interesting thing, let's go to Google. If you put Lydia Yasmin, you really don't get a lot. You don't get anything about the shooting at all. If you put Natalie Rupnow in the search, you get everything, right? You get all sorts of information. I don't know how many different things I had to Google to actually find. It was not easy. I know what happened because I follow the news from Australia, New Zealand, Brazil. I lived in those countries. I lived in Australia. I lived in New Zealand. I lived in Brazil. So I follow the news. And I'm always looking for different topics that I want to talk about with my students relating to what we're studying, of course. So here is a Brazilian media outlet that talked about it. So it says, young woman who shot a student at school left a letter. Finding peace. Well, if that's your definition of peace, I don't want to know what the opposite of peace is for you, girl. I'm still, I just cannot believe how someone can do a thing like that. I'm still taken aback by the whole thing. I think it was a copycat, right? She was 19 years old. That's still a teenager. She looks a lot younger. She really does. She looks a lot younger, but she's only 19 years old. I was talking just now, and I don't know if. Okay, let me show you what I was reading before. Young woman who shot student in school left a letter, finding peace. I'm reading off of this here. Finding peace. I don't know how you can find peace by killing a whole bunch of people, but apparently that's what she thought she was going to accomplish with this. It's unacceptable. It's egregious, and it should not be happening. It just should not be happening. So, my whole purpose with the class that I'm going to teach is specifically to teach my students about gun control, about copycat crimes that happened, mostly inspired by the Columbine shooters. They have they have become, very unfortunately, a reference for killers, wannabe killers everywhere. It's just egregious, despicable, horrific, all of the negative adjectives that you can think of. So we need to talk about this. We need to talk about why this is happening. So, following the school shooting in Wisconsin, perpetrated by Natalie Rupnow, Laiti decided to take her own life. So, if she was going to take her own life, why didn't she just do it? Why did she have to try to kill other people, right? Natalie accomplished that, apparently. She is dead. And reports all over the world, CNN, BBC, everywhere, said it, they say that she killed herself. Ripnow herself was inspired by Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris. She can be seen wearing a copy of the t-shirt often worn by Harris in old videos from the 90s when Columbine occurred. The massacre of Columbine was one of the most egregious acts of violence committed in the history of the United States. School shooters all over the world went on their own rampages, hoping to become as infamous as those two shooters in Colorado. Those two shooters, they have become like, they even have groupies, people that are in love with them after their deaths. It's bizarre. I don't understand it. Books have been written about them, not to glorify them, but to clarify what happened and perhaps prevent the same fate for other teenagers. And I think that's really important. So I'm really surprised that the news outlets all over the world are not reporting Alaida's attempted murder in the city of Natal, Brazil, being connected with a shooting in Wisconsin, as it seems so obvious that she drew inspiration from Natalie Rupnow. The attack in Brazil happened right after the one in the USA. Of all behaviors to copycat, Laidia chose to emulate this horrendous act. It is sadly becoming a trend for teenagers to glorify criminals on TikTok, especially. If I had $1 for every Menendez brothers, Gypsy Rose, and more recently Luigi Mangione edit I see, I'd be a millionaire. The latter is being heralded as a hero. Notwithstanding having killed a person in cold blood, people online are paying tribute to him as if he had accomplished something positive through killing a person. With Laidia, it has been no different. The comment section of Brazilian YouTube videos about her are filled with men calling her hot and saying they wish they could get with her. What kind of world are we living in? I really do not know the answer to that. I hope more is being done to prevent this. What can we do as a society to become better? That's for us to do. We have to do something. And teaching my students is the only thing that I can do. What can you do?